After a crazy 12 hours, it looks like we know which 4 teams are going to be competing in the college football playoff. But as we've seen over the last 2 days, anything can happen, and we might not truly know who's going to be making the playoff until the final game concludes tonight. Before we get to today's video, make sure to smash that subscribe button and turn on those notifications if you're new to my channel. If you're watching this video, odds are that you love college football, and odds are you aren't subscribed to my channel. So make sure to subscribe to one of the best college football communities here on YouTube. Also, make sure to drop a like on this video as well. It helps out with that YouTube algorithm and helps share the video with more college football fans. Plus, it only takes a second to do. So like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, it looks like we have the 4 teams that are going to be competing in the college football playoff. If I were to guess, it looks like they're going to be Michigan, Georgia, TCU, and Ohio State. Again, that's just my guess, but I truly think those are the 4 teams we're going to be seeing that make it. Georgia is currently playing LSU right now, and Michigan plays later tonight, but regardless of what happens in those 2 games, both Michigan and Georgia are going to be in. It's just a matter of what are their rankings going to be. But there was a lot of uncertainty surrounding TCU, USC, Ohio State, and Alabama entering the weekend. I want to talk about TCU first, as they just lost a thrilling game to Kansas State in overtime. With the loss, I know a lot of people are saying that TCU should fall out of the playoff discussion, but I think there's no way that happens. I think TCU is more than deserving, as they just finished the season 12-1 and lost in overtime in their own conference title game. TCU deserves to be in the college football playoff, and I think they're actually going to stay at number 3 when the rankings come out. So TCU is going to be in, and they're going to reach the playoff for the first time, but I really want to talk about this game first. Before I talk about what TCU didn't do, I just want to tip my cap to Kansas State because they played a hell of a game and had a hell of a season. I don't think anyone would have actually picked Kansas State to win the Big 12, let alone just being in the conference title game at all. So they had a crazy season, and a major shout out to them for pulling this off. But let's talk about TCU here. Now, I actually do think things might get a little interesting in regards to the Heisman race because Max Duggan had one hell of a game. I mean, if you didn't catch this game live, you missed Max Duggan literally putting the team on his back and doing everything he could to win the game. I mean, it looked like he was barely able to stand up, and the second he went to the sideline, he was given an oxygen tank. I can't remember in recent memory a player putting their team on their back the way Max Duggan did today. And the way he performed in the 4th quarter, TCU deserved to win that game. But what cost them was this absolutely stupid play calling in overtime. I mean, TCU had the ball on the 1-yard line, 3rd and goal, and what do they opt to do? They just do back-to-back handoffs to the running back. Instead of just, doing a quarterback sneak, not once, but twice, needing less than a yard, you give it to your running back from essentially the 5-yard line, asking them to get 5 yards twice, and of course, it fails miserably. Had TCU just done a quarterback sneak, they clearly get in, take a touchdown lead, and probably win the game, considering they would have had all the momentum. Instead, just horrific play calling cost them the game and the Big 12 championship. I know that there were a lot of moments that won and lost the game for both teams, but I truly do not understand why head coaches in college and in the NFL just refuse to do quarterback sneaks. I think I recently saw a stat that said quarterback sneaks are successful 92% of the time. I don't understand why these coaches have to get cute. You need literally less than a yard, give the ball to your quarterback, tell your running back to push his ass in, and you have yourself a touchdown. Instead, they didn't do that. TCU loses the game, and Kansas State is your Big 12 champion. So regardless of the loss, I still believe TCU is more than deserving of being one of the playoff teams, and I think the committee is going to agree as well. Now, this is where things get very interesting, as USC lost to Utah by 23 points. Yep, 23 points USC lost to Utah by. If the Trojans would have won this game, they would have been in the college football playoff for the first time in program history. Instead, not only do they miss out on the playoff, they also miss out on the Rose Bowl as well. Again, it wasn't like it was a close game or anything, they lost by 3 scores. And the worst part about this for USC is the fact that they were up 17-3 at one point. Honestly, they were just a few yards shy of being up 21-3, essentially putting the game pretty out of reach for the Utes. Instead, Utah outscored USC 44-7 the rest of the game. Yep, from the second quarter on, USC was outscored 44-7. I mean, how does that happen? Like seriously, you're on the verge of going to the college football playoff, you just dominated the first quarter, and you get outscored 44-7 the rest of the way. Now, I'm not going to give Caleb Williams any flack for losing this game because the dude literally injured a hamstring and was pretty much hurt everywhere on his body. I mean, the dude could barely walk. If you were watching the game, he was limping after every play, but still, he did everything he could to try and win the game for the Trojans. USC's wide receivers just didn't know how to catch the ball as they had a number of drops, but that wasn't the biggest issue for the Trojans. There was a stat that was shown on the screen, I think at some point in the fourth quarter, and essentially it said that USC had about 20 missed tackles for over 200 yards for Utah. USC literally had no idea how to tackle in this game. I mean, there were probably 3 scores that Utah had where had USC just made a simple tackle, the Utes might not end up scoring on that drive. Hell, I think there was like a 3rd and 19 where USC had them stuffed and it would have been about 4th and 7, 4th and 8, and Utah somehow scored a touchdown. I mean, we've all known just how bad USC's defense has been this season. We all knew that it would eventually be their downfall, but watching them struggle to even make tackles against Utah, this looked like Pasadena City College out there. And I don't even mean to disrespect Pasadena City College because I guarantee they would have made some of these tackles. So USC loses by 23 points and they deservedly fall out of the college football playoff discussion. So with USC falling out, who slides in? Well, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, my guess is going to be Ohio State. Now, if that's the case, I need to go back to a video I posted last week and say I was wrong, because after losing to Michigan, I posted a video saying Ohio State shouldn't even sniff the college football playoff. Now, to be fair, at the time of that recording, LSU was still in the hunt, Clemson was still in the hunt, USC was still in the hunt, so it didn't seem like Ohio State had that good of a chance of potentially sneaking in. But after USC lost the way they did, Ohio State is going to be the 4th seed and they're going to make it to the college football playoff. And I think it's going to be a very interesting matchup, assuming they get assigned Georgia in the first round. So overall, between USC and TCU, really disappointing games from both teams. Both quarterbacks definitely showed out and seriously gave it their all and probably would have died on the field the way they were playing. But talk about a letdown from USC and a letdown from TCU. I honestly thought that TCU was going to win this game against Kansas State, and I thought USC was going to beat Utah, and the college football playoff was going to be the same 4 that it was last week. But as we've been reminded, anything can happen in college football on any given day. So what are your thoughts on the games we've already gotten this weekend and the craziness that's already ensued? Do you think the top 4 of the college football playoff is going to be Georgia, Michigan, TCU, and Ohio State? Or do you think maybe Alabama sneaks their way in, or some sort of chaotic scenario where USC somehow stays in as well? Whatever your thoughts are and whoever you think the top 4 is going to be, let me know in the comment section down below. Before you leave, don't forget to smash that subscribe button and turn on those notifications if you're new to my channel. If you love college football, then this is definitely the place for you. Also, don't forget to drop a like on this video as well. It helps out with that confusing YouTube algorithm and helps share the video with more college football fans. Plus, it only takes a second to do. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.